Hi, I'm Kingsley Smith from BlackHistoryPeople.com and QuickThinking.com. Today here with Shenteria Marie, who's an entrepreneur, a professional voiceover actress, and author. She has a book out. It's called Growing Up Black in America Without Experiencing Racism, A New Reality and Hope for the Future. Shenteria, welcome. It's great to have you here.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me here, Kingsley.
So let's get a little background about you first before we dive into the book. You are a millennial, right in the middle of the 23 to 38 age range, and I'm a baby boomer, so what really caught my eye and attention, I guess I saw it on your Instagram, that you had written this book. And I know you grew up in East St. Louis, Illinois, so why don't we start there?
Okay. Yeah, so I grew up in East St. Louis, which is pretty much, I'd say, an all-black city, or it was at the time. And so because of that, I grew up in a majority black community. So it's more likely that I wouldn't experience racism there because I wasn't around many white people, but also I experienced so many different things within my community that for me as a black woman is for me to express those things and bring awareness to those things, because oftentimes those things are ignored and they end up hurting our community.
Are you then saying that you didn't experience any racism when you grew up?
No, I've not experienced any racism growing up.
That's pretty amazing. So let me ask you if you've ever been called the N-word.
I haven't.
I'm a guy that grew up in New York City, so believe me, I've heard that word directed at my attention several times. I will say, though, that your experience is not unique. One thing that you do very well in your book is you quote a lot of well-known African Americans and people that have some good thoughts. Maya Angelou, W.E.B. Du Bois, Rosa Parks, Martin Luther King Jr., and Tupac. And I want to say that here is somebody who has a similar experience that you experienced. I'm going to read you this quote and then I'll tell you who put it together. He says, "I was never exposed to a great deal of racism, but the Chicago I grew up in was very, very segregated." And that is from Don Cornelius, Mr. Soul Train. So I think your experience is not unique, but I think it's provocative in today's world to say that you can grow up in America and not experience racism, because bigotry is out there everywhere.
Yes, absolutely. And I don't say that racism doesn't exist, because of course it does, and it will for a long time. But just to say that, since I haven't experienced racism, I have to bring awareness to the things that I have experienced so that I can help the black community, But yeah, absolutely, my experience is definitely not unique, and I think more people have to come out with those things so that we can actually help the black community heal and come together more so than kind of feeling separated from either the world or separated from each other as well.
One thing I like about the title of the book, especially the part A New Reality and Hope for the Future, I think it's reflective and instructive at the same time, because you're really giving folks a lot of tips as to things to concentrate on and focus to make not only their situation better, but their communities better.
Absolutely. Your experience is what you focus on. So you have to focus on more positive things, or things that might help the younger generations growing up. I feel like it's for each individual to do something better to help the young generation that is growing up. Like, your focus has to be, it will be where your experience is. So yeah, I try to focus on things that are much better and kind of thought-provoking and will help other people.
Racism is not an excuse to not do the best you can, which is a quote from Arthur Ashe. Let me ask you about the NET program, which you talk about in the book, Networking Education Through Technology. You say this is one of the first experiences that gave you improved self-worth and vision about what you could do in the future to accomplish great things.
Yeah, it did, because it was totally something new for our school, because we got computers put into every classroom. It was a whole new wing built onto our school, and so it elevated my learning. Like, even in working from home today from my computer, it's a totally different new concept in the world and whatnot. Baby boomers and whatnot, there wasn't really much working from home on computers and stuff like that. So the fact that it was Bill Gates that actually had that program put into our school. Like, to me, it elevated my learning, but some people, that focus thing, as you mentioned, the focus, some people felt like it caused so much division in our school because our sophomore class got it, and the junior, some kids from the junior class got it as well. But they felt like there was so much division, but I didn't see it as that way. I felt like I was learning something new. It was like something that I felt like a kid in a candy store because I've always loved learning, but a lot of people didn't see it that way. So it's like your experience is what you focus on, and that totally elevated my learning. I'm absolutely thankful for that program. I probably wouldn't really be as focused on computers today as I am if I hadn't got access to that program. A lot of people don't even have computers in their home today, but I absolutely can't see my life without having one and working from home doing that. So it totally changed the way that I thought about things in terms of opportunities.
So that was very influential for you in getting into some of your professional voiceover work that you do today.
Absolutely, absolutely, because I work from home.
One thing in the book is you really promote the fact that people have to be self-starters and self-improve. Now, one thing that I learned in psychology a long time ago is that some people are inwardly directed and some people are outwardly directed, meaning that the outwardly directed people are very susceptible to the signals that they receive from the popular culture and in general society. So they pretty much go with the tribe and want to be a part of something, even if it's detrimental to them, whereas the inwardly directed people have much more discipline. So I think the answer, even though you say we have to work hard, we have to study hard, and we can't use racism as a crutch, I think there is a component of human nature that it's difficult for a lot of people to do that.
It is, but when you think about Martin Luther King and Rosa Parks and all those greats, like, they were leaders. They stood out from the crowd. They didn't follow the crowd because they knew they had to do something different to change the consciousness of other people. And so, yeah, most people are inherently to that point where they will follow the crowd and everything, but you can't just keep following something that's bad. A lot of people allow circumstances to dictate their lives because they're not taking control of what they should be taking control of in their lives, because a lot of times people are very reactionary to certain situations or what someone else says to them. You can't control what someone says to you, but you can control your reaction. And if you become one of those people who are self-improved or self-actualized, you will recognize that, hey, I can take control of this. Like, my life doesn't have to be dictated by what other people are doing or what someone else is doing that might be bad, but I can take control of this myself. But a lot of people have to awaken to that fact, that realization, you know?
I wish more of us could think like that, because I remember Du Bois and his thoughts about the talented 10th, that 10% of us are going to be the visionaries, and then there's 90%, well, those folks have to believe that there's light at the end of the tunnel, and if they work a little harder, they're going to be able to accomplish what they set out to accomplish. Here's another quote here from the art world. We can go on talking about racism and who treated whom badly, but what are you going to do about it? Are you going to wallow in that, or are you going to create your own agenda? And that's Judith Jamison from the art world. So I think that's kind of very appropriate for your philosophy.
Absolutely it is, because it's one of those things where if you're just going to keep talking about racism, what is that going to improve? How is that going to help the next generation that is growing up? If we're just giving them that mindset of, hey, I can't achieve this because I'm being discriminated against because of the color of my skin, they won't see opportunities. Opportunities won't exist for them. It's just because that conditioning of feeling like, because I'm black, I can't achieve this, I can't achieve that. But then you see Oprah, you see wonderful, great people, you see Madam C.J. Walker, Martin Luther King Jr., all these wonderful black people who are leaders and have totally inspired us to rise up. Like, what are we doing to change that? If we feel like racism is happening in our world or in our country, then we have to change it instead of just saying, oh, that's racism, And since I didn't experience racism, that's why I wrote this book. This is my way of saying, hey, since I haven't experienced racism, this is what I can do to try to help the black community.
Well, we both agree that racism does exist, but you, like myself, we've never let it hold us back in really moving forward and getting what we really want in our professional lives and lives away from the workplace. So that's a good thing. So why don't you tell us a little bit more about some of the other activities that you're involved with?
Well, I currently have a business actually titled You Are the Project. It is a self-improvement business that gets people focused on mind, body, spirit. We say happy body, happy mind, and happy money. We feel like that balance of things, then a person can really take control of their lives and become the best version of themselves. And a part of my philosophy is becoming the best version of you so that you can have a better, more positive impact on the younger generation that is growing up. So through You're the Project, we have members who have changed their lives for the better, greatly improved themselves and the people that they're around. And so it's totally transforming people's lives for the better. So that's one of the things that I'm a part of here in Vegas. I recently visited my hometown in East St. Louis this past September. And I actually went to a city council meeting to try and help people that are there in the city because the city is broke. It's absolutely broke. How does the citizens get together to try to change things to make it better for them? Because there's so many houses are being foreclosed on in the city. And so it's like I try to do things that might be helpful to other people, but a lot of the problem I've noticed is that you don't have much influence. It's hard to get people's attention and to get them to change something that might be better for themselves. Even in going to the city council meeting in East St. Louis, like it wasn't like I could get the citizens to come with me and say, hey, how can we make our city better? Like, what can we do? Even I passed out flyers and everything. But it's just people don't have hope. Then it's like they don't really move forward to do something different.
We're talking with Shenteria Marie, who is a professional voiceover actress, entrepreneur, and she's written Growing Up Black in America Without Experiencing Racism, a New Reality and Hope for the Future. Anything else you'd like to point out about the book and why you feel it's must reading?
I feel it's a must read because in our world, the media controls so much of the way people think and what they believe in. And because of that, like their own experience is neglected. And so that's why I say growing up in Black in America without experiencing racism, because a lot of people, as you said, my experience is not unique. A lot of people in America have not experienced racism, but the media will point to something particular and they will go with that and get angry about that. But in all actuality or in reality, there's so many young Black men and women killed every single day in places like Chicago, like inner cities. It's like we're killing each other off more so than what the media might be telling us. Many countless young men and women that are killed every day that are Black, like we don't know their names, we don't know who they are, but yet one certain incident or a few throughout the year, we know that because the media will plaster that because they want to tell us about racism. So that we'll focus on that. But our own experience might tell us differently. Like our own communities, what can we do to help make it better? Because it's Black on Black crime to me that's more so affecting us than something else like racism in our world today. I feel like Black people, we have to change our mindset into loving each other and to caring about each other, our own brothers and sisters, instead of killing each other and hating each other. Like, I feel like there's so many things that the media wants to tell us to do, but we have to focus on our own experience so we can change those things happening in our lives around us, our neighbors, the people that we love.
Shenteria, very well put, and I want to thank you so much for talking with us. So you have a website, which we will mention, and why don't you tell us a little bit about your Fiverr activities, if you wish?
I appreciate actually you having me here. In terms of Fiverr, I've been on Fiverr for almost 4 years now as a voiceover actress, and it's voiceovers, and I have clients like all over the world that come to me for voiceovers, radio commercials, cartoon characters, different things like that. And so I've been doing that for the past 4 years working from home, and that business has totally elevated, and it's to the point where I now create videos for my clients. You can see over my shoulder, there's this green screen where I create green screen videos for my clients where I take out the background and everything. And so that's totally through Fiverr. And a lot of people feel like, well, Fiverr is just a $5 platform, but it's not. You can really maximize your sales through Fiverr, which I have done year after year on the platform. And it's pretty amazing what a person can do if they're open to that opportunity of feeling like, hey, well, if I consistently do this, like I can work my way up to this. But it takes a lot of patience. It takes a lot of discipline and action, of course. So that's my Fiverr.
You are definitely a positive person for millennials and everybody. So keep up the good work.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that, Kingsley.